Ladies and gentlemen, I have officially finished watching the TV show From, and I have nothing but positive things to say about the show overall. Let me put it to you this way, all right? I started watching the show literally like a week and a half ago, and I am fully caught up. That's crazy. That never happens, to be completely honest with you. I have, quite frankly, a busy life when it comes to things I got going on, whether it's doing this, whether it is my full-time job, I have a personal life and things like that. So the idea of finishing a TV show in 1 week, for me personally, kind of unheard of. Usually it takes me a lot longer. But I love a show when I finish it that quickly. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I don't know, to be completely honest with you, but it's the fact of the matter. That's exactly how it went with this show, and it doesn't happen often. From is a show that just completely took my interest in, it just completely blew me away, is the best way I could describe it. And I wanted to share that with you because so far I've done first impressions, I've done a review of season 1, and I've done a review of season 2. In a similar vein, this is just going to be me, as you could probably already tell, just talking into the camera. I do not have anything prepared for this, but I wanted to get out my feelings on season 3 and the show overall. So season 3, out of all of the 3 seasons that have aired, I'd say is probably my least favorite. That doesn't mean it's bad by any mean, because I also thought this season was phenomenal in a lot of ways, but I guess the way I could describe it is episodes 1 through about 4 were really solid, and then the middle kind of got slow, and then the ending really picked up. Like the first, I think it was, what is it called? Revelations Part 1 and 2, which is 9 and 10. Those 2 episodes were outstanding, but then from like 5 to 8, it was a little slow. I wasn't overall the biggest fan of Fatima's story this season. Not that it was bad, because I didn't think it was. It just wasn't my favorite story arc. What it came out to be was really interesting. Overall, the whole thing with Elgin, the whole thing with Fatima, it kind of got boring for me on screen in general. So that was disappointing, but then there was so much else going on in the show that there was so much going on that was crazy. First off, we have Kenny's mom passing away, which was insane, and I forgot that even happened. Like I'm saying, I watched the show so quickly that I don't know what season was what, so it's taken me a bit of time to go back. It all feels like one collective story. But anyway, in the beginning of this season, you have Kenny's mom dying, Kenny coming to terms with that, which is a really tough storyline for him in general. You also have the craziest cliffhanger of season 2 finally getting an answer in Tabitha somehow escaping out of the lighthouse and being rescued by the police by some hikers that found her in the middle of the Camden, Maine, I think it is, Camden, Maine. There's a Camden, New Jersey, not far from where I've grown up, so it's like confusing for me, whatever. Which Camden, New Jersey is the most blissful town on the planet. That's a different story. Anyway, I'm joking about that. Anyway, regardless, you have that whole story play out where then from there, she meets Henry Kavanaugh because the box in Victor's lunchbox has his address on there, and the little boy, it seems to me like this little boy, the boy in white, maybe he's the answer to this whole thing. I really don't know. I don't know where this story's going, but clearly he sent her there for a reason. She had the lunchbox for a reason, all of that stuff, and it played out so well. And I guess the one thing I had a little bit of an issue with that storyline is the fact that she's back home, and I completely understand, and they already showed part of this, I completely understand that the idea of coming back to reality and having to explain what happened to you to anyone would make you sound crazy. I completely get that, but part of me thinks they could have tried a little bit harder, but then again, it's also, I'm thinking about for Tabitha in that instance, when you come home, you're kind of stuck. Your whole family's there. You're missing. What are you going to do? How are you going to explain that without sounding like a crazy person or someone who looks like you killed your whole family? You know what I mean? So I guess I get that, but also I just kind of wish it would be explored a little more. Do you know what I mean? I can't put my head around it. It's going to take me some time, and you bet your sweet bippy, we're fully covering the show now, whether it's just these reviews or whether it's, in-depth analysis and things like that. But my thought is like, yeah, she's a human. Like, she has to think about this, logically. And obviously she's going to think it's crazy, but I can't put my fingers on what it was that I thought was missing. I thought something was missing that they should have done. Is that to say it's a bad thing? Absolutely not, because what we got with Henry and that story with Henry Kavanaugh and Tabitha going there and then discovering all the bottle trees with, the faraway trees and things like that, that was really, really interesting, and it comes to a head later on in the season. So you have all of that in the beginning, which is really cool, really interesting. Crazy how her and Henry come back into the picture, and that's an interesting story alone, that Henry, the father of Victor, whose entire family is gone because of this, they've all been killed, Henry comes into the story and has to pick up the pieces 25 plus years later to be a dad again. That's crazy, and it was really great to see. And I'm also really glad that it wasn't so easy for either of them. It wasn't this dramatic moment that was obviously it was dramatic, but it wasn't this dramatic moment that was like a classic cinema reunion or anything like that. It wasn't. It was rough. And that's good. That's good storytelling. That's good writing. I'm a big fan of it. I really am. So there's that. But then I think the only big thing other than that, there's two big things that, well, there's multiple things, but two of the biggest things that happened revelation-wise this season, we have Fatima's birthing of Smiley, and then we have, Tabitha and Jade essentially being reincarnations of Miranda and, what is it, Christopher? Is that his name? I don't know. Regardless, they're essentially reincarnations or recycling of the same human in this world, which opens up a whole new can of worms. Is that how everyone is in the town? Was there a Boyd before this? Who was that? Who was Victor before this? If there was, Victor's been around for a while, but do you know what I mean? Opens up a whole can of worms, and I'm so interested to see where that goes, because I guess Jade and Tabitha were essentially husband and wife too, and then that means that Jim and everyone was brought there against their will because Tabitha was always going to whoa, that was crazy. It was really interesting, and I'm glad to see that all came to a head. So that was really cool. And then at the end, we have the man in yellow, that guy with the black eyes, who comes in and says to Jim, your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, and then rips out his freaking throat. One, I never really liked Jim. He wasn't my favorite character. And again, it wasn't the actor's fault at all. I don't think he was written to be liked that much. And I didn't. So when he died, I wasn't mad or anything. But even that opened up a whole can of worms. Who is this guy? Why is Julie now in the future, clearly, because it's an older version of Julie that we're seeing, and why is she there and not able to stop anything? I know she explained it earlier, and Ethan then came to her and was like, you could see the future and the past, but you can't change it. Right now, on surface level, that seems like a stupid power, because you just have the ability to look at stuff, and what is that going to do? You could tell people, but if you can't change it, then what's the point of it? Regardless, whatever. Anyway, it was really interesting to see, and I'm really interested to see where that brings the story. Even with characters like Randall and I think it's Marielle, who is Krista's fiance. They all have that seemingly same ability now. So I'm interested to see where that goes. And now I'm interested to see that there's seemingly this existential threat who might be a monster, but clearly isn't because it was daytime in that man in yellow. Whew, okay. What I like about this season is this season answered some questions we've had from the first season, what are the faraway trees, things like that. We've gotten some answers here that you can leave somehow. We still don't know how, but you can leave. So we've gotten answers, and now we see that Tabitha and Jade were reincarnated here. So it's going somewhere, but it's also opening new questions. I think that's equally a complaint and a pro about the show, because it is doing what Lost did. Even though these writers and showrunners say they're not going to do what Lost did and just constantly pose new questions and it gets stale after a while, you could see them doing that here. They already kind of are, but at least along the way, they're giving answers to the point where it feels satisfying. Yes, this feels like Lost, but no, it doesn't feel the same. The vibe feels different, and I think it makes it more digestible. if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where this goes. It seems like now we have a new threat. Now we have a new power in the form of Julie, Randall, and maybe even Marielle having the ability to go back and forth in time, even though it doesn't really make sense because you can't do anything about it. Whatever. Anyway, really interested to see where that goes. I'm interested in general to see how the characters respond to Boyd this season, especially with torturing Elgin, even though a lot of that was Sarah. I'm interested to see where that goes. Like, I'm really, really interested to see, are the people going to hate him more? Is he going to kind of change a lot now? Is he going to step down as leader? Like, what is going to happen there? Regardless, now I'm with you guys. I got to wait patiently. And you bet your sweet bippy that I will be covering the show week by week in, 2026? When that comes out, it's weird to think that I'll have this channel for, I think, 4.5 years when that comes out. That's wild. Anyway, I am very excited to go into this. I can understand how some people think this show is probably grueling when you're watching it episode by episode. I, so far, have had the luxury of binging because I just discovered this show. And I got to tell you, on binge, it's so good. It really is. But I could see how when you're going week to week, it's tough. Because it's not a slow. I meant to say, it's a show with slow build-ups to big answers and things like that. And that's got to be pretty tough to watch week to week. Maybe that might be my only serious complaint. I have some small ones right now, but they're minuscule. They really are, because my intrigue into this series means way more than any small criticism right now I have. So anything that small doesn't really mean much. The biggest criticisms I have, and I think this is saying something about the show, the biggest criticisms are the intro song is way too long. It's just way too long. And so are the previously on, what do you call it, recaps. Those recaps are way too long. So you have the long part of the recaps, then you have the long song. And I know it's a good song, but it's too long. It's too long for an intro. If those are my only two major complaints about the show, it's a good show. And if you haven't seen it and you're watching this just because you watch my stuff or you're curious but you don't care about spoilers, go watch it. Just watch the frickin' show. It is that good. I promise you, it's fun. It's a great, if you're in seemingly my target audience of shows like The Walking Dead, things like that, you are going to love it. You're going to love it. You should really give it a shot. That's the best praise I could give. I would love to have one of the actors on the channel. We do a 20-30 minute interview. I'm trying to make that work. If I could, that would be amazing. I would be so happy. I think that would be great for you guys to see too. I would love to get them on. But overall, I'm just very excited about it. So those were my thoughts on season 3. And I guess in there, you also heard my thoughts about the show overall. Again, if I had to rank season 3, I think this would probably be my least favorite of the 3. 2 is my number 1. 1 is my number 2, and 3 is my number 3. But that doesn't mean they're bad. There wasn't one bad season of this show so far. Yes, it slowed up. The pacing was a little slow, which again, I could see being really rough. Why am I keep messing up my words and saying rough, I don't know what's happening there. But I could see how when you're watching it week by week, it could be rough. I completely understand that. So I guess the pacing was a bit of a problem, but that's it. That's it. Again, if you haven't seen this show, you gotta see it. You just gotta do it. Let me know your thoughts on it down there below. If I missed anything, let me know, but I will be back for a lot more from coverage, whether it's tier lists, whether it's deep dives, whether it's, analysis, essays, whatever, all the above. I will be back for it. The show is now welcomed and fully onboarded to this channel, and it's going to become a staple of it. So I hope you're into that, because I'm going to be covering it. With all that out of the way, be sure to give me a follow on X. I post there all the time, and subscribe because it is free. It's literally just a white button that you click that helps show your support. And with those things out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video, and until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.